Hey everyone, my name is Sean, and in today's video I'm going to be asking the question and answering the question: should you be pulling on the brand new set Beyond Speed and Ruler's Mask released today in Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel? We're going to go into a lot of detail analysing these sets and talking about the potential value of the cards released in both of these sets, so let's get to it. For those who are interested, this set is based on a set released last year in the Yu-Gi-Oh! TCG and OCG called Dawn of Majesty. Unfortunately, we don't get all of the cards from Dawn of Majesty, we only get some of them, and these cards seem to be broken down into two smaller sets, that one being focusing on legacy support, which is Beyond Speed, and one focusing on newer archetypes being released in the game, which is Ruler's Mask. Now we're going to have a look at Beyond Speed first and analysing the value of the cards in here. And the first thing that you should be aware of if you're going to invest in this set is that there are a lot of reprints in this set. Cards such as Stardust and Clearing Synchro Dragon that have been available in the game for a long time that are not necessarily new. So you may already have these cards, or you may want to pursue these cards in other sets. Just keep that in mind when you decide to pull on the cards in this set. But there are still quite a lot of new cards overall. We're going to start off with the 5 ultra rares up here, being the ultra rare synchros. We have Shooting Majestic Star Dragon, Stellar Wind Wolfrayet, Crystal Clear Wing Synchro Dragon, Hi-Speedroid Clear Wing Rider, Baronne De Fleur, and yep. Now for Shooting Majestic Star Dragon, Crystal Clear Wing Synchro Dragon, and Hi-Speedroid Clear Wing Rider, these are basically just boss monsters for their respective archetype. And the value of these cards really comes down to, are you going to be building these decks? If you have no interest in building Star Dragon, Crystal Clear Wing, or Hi-Speedroid decks, then there's no value of these cards really to you. Especially because their requirements are very restrictive and they require you to play certain cards in order to summon these out. That being said, they are still very good cards, and so if you are going to build those archetypes, feel free to go ahead and pull on these because they've got very powerful effects. In a nutshell, without reading them all of these cards have removal or negate effects, and that's basically what they do. And then they have extender based effects as well, so they're very powerful boss monsters. The more interesting card to me are Stellar Wind Wolfrayet and Baronne De Fleur, because both of these cards are generic synchros that can be used pretty much in any deck that can summon them. Stellar Wind Wolfrayet, to me, in a nutshell, I would best describe as Nibiru Synchro. The reason why I described it based on that is because of its effect. This card gains 300 attack each time another monster effect is activated, while the attack of this card is less than 4,000. Which means if it starts at 2,500, it can gain 300 attack 5 times before it hits 4,000, 1,500 attack. That's where it kind of reminds me of Nibiru a bit. And then once per turn, if this card's attack is 4,000 or higher, quick effect. You could shuffle both this card and all monsters your opponent controls into the deck. So it has that kind of board wipe kind of effect, which is just really, really good. Almost like Zeus in a way, but not for all cards on the field, just for your opponent's monsters. And also kind of a little bit like Nibiru, where you kind of just want to stop them from doing their combo. It's a really good level 9 monster, but it isn't that popular. You don't really see it that much. But a card that you do see quite often played in the TCG right now is Baronne De Fleur. Baronne De Fleur is an amazing level 10 synchro that 1 has a removal effect, and 2 has a protection effect, and 3 has an extender effect, which is a lot of value for 1 monster. Its removal effect is once per turn. You can target a card on the field and destroy it. Simple. And then its protection effect is once per turn. While this card is on the field, you can negate the activation of a card or effect that was activated and destroy it. The negate effect is a hard once per turn, whereas the destruction effect is a once per turn, but you can use it if you have multiple copies of Baronne De Fleur on the field. That is why it has the phrase, you can only use the previous effect of Baronne De Fleur once per turn. Once per turn during the standby phase, it has this weird extender effect where you can target 1 level 9 or lower monster in your graveyard, return this card to the extra deck, and if you do special summon that monster. I really can't think of a situation where you would really want to use that effect, but it might come in handy someday. But the protection effect and the removal effect alone are very, very good for a Synchro monster. Now, Baronne De Fleur is most often used in a certain deck, and that deck is called Sword Soul Tenny. Now, I realize I have an Adventure Tenny. Adventure is not going to be in the game for a long time, but in a nutshell, Sword Soul Tenny revolves on using Tenny monsters, which are in the game right now, but then Sword Soul monsters, which are not in the game just yet. And it will be a little bit of a while before we get these cards in the game. But if you want to maybe play this deck in the future, then Baronne De Fleur is definitely a card that features a lot in this Synchro based deck. That being said, just because we don't have Sword Soul cards yet, or we have one Sword Soul card, maybe another one somewhere else, but not really the main Sword Soul cards, it doesn't mean you can't use Baronne just yet. And so I would like to show you one way which you can use Baronne in Master Duel right now, and that is going to be with an old friend of mine, Jet Synchron. You see, in the TCG, Jet Synchron has been banned for a long time, but for some reason in Master Duel, it's legal and it's at free, so why not abuse it while we can? And what's amazing about Jet Synchron is that it is a 1-card combo to go into Baronne De Fleur. 1.5 if you count the card that you might have to discard in order to revive this card. If you don't know how it works, you normal summon Jet Synchron or get Jet Synchron to the field however you want to, and then you make Link Karipo. With Jet Synchron in the graveyard, you can revive it via its own effect, and then you have a monster effect and a tuner on the field to make Christian Hauki 5-backs. Hauki then summons out 001, and with 001 being a machine and Hauki being a machine, you can go and summon Mecha Phantom Beast Auroradon. Auroradon will summon 3 Mecha Phantom Beast tokens that are level 3 each, making level 9 overall. And then 001 will revive itself from the graveyard as a level 1 tuner. So you've got a level 1 tuner and 3 tokens, and that makes level 10 to make Baronne De Fleur. So that one Jet Synchron can do all of that. There are many starters you can use with this, like tuning to search it out. You can send it to the graveyard with Foolish Burial, and you can even modify the combo to summon other monsters using extenders like Mecha Phantom Beast Lion to do other things with Auroradon and combo even further. So it is I definitely would go and chase Baronne De Fleur right now if you're interested in picking up a very powerful Synchro monster. But back in the set, other cards that you might be interested in that I thought were worth pointing out, there were still a few, particularly a couple that come to mind, and just waiting to get back into the set. First of all is Sauge De Fleur. This reminded me of Eldritch the Golden Lord quite a bit, whereas this card has a similar effect where you can target one monster you control and one card on the field, special summon this card from your hand, and if you do, destroy those cards. That's really cool. Really cool, easy to summon, 2900 attack, good beat stick, it's a spellcaster, so it's pretty good. And then the graveyard effect has this plant searcher effect, which is to support searching out Fleur Synchron, and then so you can go into your Baronne De Fleur and do all your summon plays from there. But really, that removal effect was pretty cool. I kind of like that effect. I just don't know how you would search this card out. That would be really cool. Other than that, Hi-Speedroid Cork Shooter is pretty good. This is a level 3 Synchro monster that is generic. It is also a tuner Synchro monster, which is pretty cool for combos. And when this card is Synchro summoned, you can add 1 Speedroid spell or trap card from your deck to your hand. It has another effect if you're playing Speedroids, it gets even better as well to go into even more summons. But those cards that you can add from your deck to your hand are really cool, and they are in this set. One of them is Speedroid Real. This card is a starter, and then you've also got Speedroid Scratch, which is a really good starter. Speedroid Scratch says send 1 Speedroid card from your hand to the graveyard, add 1 Speedroid monster from your deck to your hand. Really easy to use starter. And then Speedroid Wheel is discard 1 card, roll a dice, and then special summon from your hand and or deck 1 or 2 Speedroid monsters whose levels equal the result but negate their effects. If you do not special summon, you lose life points equal to the result times 500. So these cards have a lot of synergy to set up plays here. So if you are looking to play Speedroids, that might be a really good option for you to do so. The last thing I want to mention about this this pack is that the last bit of value that I think you might be worth investing into for this is if you are interested in the next festival. And the next festival is going to be a Synchro festival. So, if you are like me and you're not someone that normally plays Synchro decks, maybe you want to pull on these cards so you have a Synchro deck to play. I'm going to be doing a video in the near future about what I think are some of the best Synchro decks maybe to play for that event. and I don't necessarily think they are from this pack. But if you are interested in pulling this pack anyway, maybe you'll get some cards as an engine that you can use in it overall. So that's going to be it for Beyond Speed, and that's the value I see in that set. We're going to now have a look at Ruler's Mask. Now, Ruler's Mask focuses mostly on a couple of things. We have focusing on Despia, which is the new extension to the Albaz archetype kind of series. If you don't know, Fallen of Albaz is a monster that has a really interesting story. When you look at the artwork of a lot of monsters, it links to Dogmatika, where if we have a look at something like Dogmatika Encounter, you can see Albaz and you can see Ecclesia on it, and then his story carries on into the Despia monsters, which is like the corrupted version of Dogmatika. So if you have a look at Dramaturge of Despia and then have a look at Dogmatika Maximus, they're kind of the opposite and inverse of each other, with one being light and then the other one being dark. He has 3,000 attack, 1,500 defense, whereas this one has 1,500 attack, 3,000 defense. So there is a really cool story and narrative building up in the lore of the cards here, and I can't wait to see what they do with this in solo mode when they decide to fully, well, not fully animate these cards, but turn them and tell us what the story of these cards are. Do feel free to go and check them out. But in a nutshell, the story of this seems to be that the Dogmatika monsters consider extra deck summoning to be basically taboo and something we shouldn't be able to do, and so these cards are very much against using the extra deck as a summon, and they get rid of cards in the extra deck instead, whereas Albaz seems to be embracing that, and it seems to be what's corrupting him to become these really savage fusion monsters, where he's turning into a variety of different dragons. So there is Brigand the Glory Dragon with Ecclesia in his hand. We've got, I think Ecclesia is riding this dragon here, and then you've got this bad boy Despian Proskinion, who, wow, this guy looks like a boss monster is what I'll say. And it's not a dragon for once, which is kind of refreshing, because dragon, Konami loves dragons overall. Everything that's a boss monster happens to be a dragon. So Despia. Is Despia worth investing into? Well, Despia focuses on fusion summoning, and some of its cards actually locks you into fusion summoning. Competitively speaking, Despia isn't really ready for the competitive scene. It is still playable, but it didn't see a lot of success when at this time these cards were available in the TCG or in the OCG. The fact is that there is a lot of cards that are not in the game yet that Despia would like to use to become really relevant for the current format. In a nutshell, there are some really good starters for Despia, but their boss monsters are a little bit lacking. So these Albion and these where is Despian Quarters, these boss monsters they have okay effects, but they're not like game-breaking effects, you know what I mean? So they're only okay. The cards that I'm particularly thinking of are things such as that wasn't the first one. The first one was whatever, we'll go in any order. So we have a card that's missing is Ad Libitum of Despia. That is a really good extender for the deck. We have Branded in red. This card is almost essential for Despias right now. In order to play it, it's like a quick effect that can do a quick effect fusion summon. It allows you to dodge a lot of effects. It's a good extender, so you kind of really want that effect. And then the boss monsters I'm thinking of in particular are Guardian Chimera and DPE. Can I move this a bit around, please? Let's see. Guardian Chimera, you can go over there. DPE can go over there. So if you guys don't know Destiny Hero Phoenix Enforcer, this card is just insane. It is the new Red Eyes Dragoon. It is a boss monster which is being featured in every deck. It's so generic and easy to play. It's like what Maxi is to Master Duel, where Maxi is a card you have to be prepared to play against in almost every single game, because everyone runs it. In the TCG at least, the same is for DPE. Everybody really wants to run this card, and so the format has kind of almost warped around it. It's just a very powerful fusion engine, and it's very easy to summon overall. But then there's Guardian Chimera as well, which is also a really good boss monster that is well used in Despia. So without these four cards, really, the deck isn't kind of in a good position to be played competitively. That being said, it doesn't mean that you can't play this deck overall, And so while the boss monsters aren't here yet, the starters are still here yet. So you can still do work with it, just don't expect it to be like the next #1 meta deck. And definitely don't expect it to really challenge things like Eldritch or Drytron or Tri-Brigade or those other really powerful top tier decks in the game right now. But here's an example list. I'm not going to do a full profile on it. If you guys want to try it yourself, feel free to have a look at this and just analyze the cards and put them together. In a nutshell, this is a go second kind of super poly kind of a break your board kind of deck. We use a lot of super poly targets. We want to put in a lot of generic cards. You could change this up as well. You could put things like kaijus in the deck, so you can give your opponent cards which you know you're going to be able to fusion summon with. It's okay. It's as best as I would say. At best, it's a rogue deck. At worst, it's just a fun deck. But yeah, it still needs a bit of work. And there are other lists that you can also run this with. I've seen people do it with Invoke. I've seen people do it with Shadows. So you can mix and match the Despia with other stuff. Just be aware that you do get locked into fusion summons quite a bit. So you're not really going to be able to actually use these. So you maybe want to drop them off. But that is kind of Despia in a nutshell. So the only other thing I will say about Despia that might be worth picking up or worth interesting to people is that Albaz is kind of like the key card for the current era of Yu-Gi-Oh! Where, say, World Legacy was the main archetype for Master Rule 4 and the Link format. For the current format of Yu-Gi-Oh! It's about Albaz and Dogmatika. And in fact, Fallen of Albaz just got a new structure deck in the Yu-Gi-Oh! TCG. So this deck is going to be supported for a very, very long time. So if you want a deck that's going to grow over time and it's going to keep evolving, then this might be something you want to invest into. If not, however, if you're looking for something that's going to be very competitive, this isn't ready yet. In fact, nothing in here is really that ready yet. So yeah, that's my evaluation on that. Now, the next thing I want to focus on is a tech card, Ready Fusion. This card is really cool in my opinion. This is a counterpart to Instant Fusion. There are ways to search this card out, and you pay 1000 life points to special summon one level 6 or lower non-effect fusion monster from your extra deck, but it cannot attack, and then destroy it during the end phase. So it's basically Instant Fusion, but one level higher, but you can't summon effect monsters. Where this becomes really interesting is when you can summon out monsters like Sea Monster or Theseus, or a brand new card called Alvain, the Essence of Vanity, a level 2 monster, because these are both tuner monsters. And this is really, really cool because it can allow you to start your combos by using a spell card without, say, dedicating a monster effect or a normal summon to get a tuner out onto the field. Of course, you can use them for things such as supporting the other cards that were in Beyond Speed, such as, say, using Theseus, which is a level 5 fusion tuner monster, and then using a, I don't know, any other level 5 monster, Cyber Dragon maybe, and then immediately you've got your Baronne De Fleur out like that. Or, of course, you can go and summon out using Alvain, the weaker tuner, to go on to other combos. But, of course, then you can go and summon out things like Ultimaya Zokin. Ultimaya Zokin requires that you have a tuner monster and a non-tuner monster of the same level on the field, and then you can summon out Ultimaya Zokin and do combos that way. And then, of course, nonetheless, you can go and summon out things like Christian Hauki Firebacks, using a tuner and a monster on the field. So there's a lot I think this card can do, and I kind of want a couple of copies of this so that I have it on the back burner just in case I want to use it for certain decks. The last two things I want to talk about in this set are Gunkan and Magikey. In a nutshell, Gunkan's bad, just whatever. Don't even think about it. There's only like 4 cards here that matter for Gunkan, and yeah, it's not even really an archetype. There are cards coming in the future, and they are budget, but they all amount to basically summoning rank 4 XEs, which isn't even really that good. So yeah, don't worry about Gunkan at all. You just ignore it. But what I do think is interesting right now is Magikey. Now, Magikey is a really fun archetype. It has some very unique cards, some very cool cards, and he's basically the new version of it's kind of like Inista, kind of like Pirate Troopers. Is it Pirate Troopers? Pirate something? There's a pirate thing. Basically, it's an archetype that focuses on all types of summon mechanics, and that's kind of a good thing and a bad thing. Right now in the game we have the ritual monster and we have the fusion monster, and then we have a bigger ritual monster being this one here and a bigger fusion monster being this one here. But there are more cards to come, and it is missing cards, and so some of the cards that it is missing, just like Despia is missing cards and further support, are things like the Synchro monster, Transforming, you're missing the Xyz monster, and you're also missing the Effect monster, which is actually really good and quite vital to a lot of lists. Magikey never becomes really that competitive. It's not a crazy deck. It is just a fun deck, and that's okay. Not every deck has to be meta. But this is, in terms of being playable as its own archetype, you still want to kind of wait for these cards to be released before you really focus on this one. That being said, the cards that here are very cheap. They're only rare or normal, except for the big boss monsters, and so you can feel free to pick these up or just craft them. They're very easy to make, and the starter cards are very powerful. Now again, while not all the boss monsters are in the game just yet, the starters are here, which are very good, and so you can use them in a deck if you want to build something with Magikey. So here was me just throwing a deck together as a random idea. Most of the expensive stuff comes from the extra deck, so keep that in mind. But in a nutshell, what Magikey does is that you have a amazing field spell that can add one Magikey monster from your deck to your hand, and then get their fusion / ritual card, Magikey Mafdea, which is this gun card here. So this can do a fusion summon or a ritual summon, which is quite cool. And then you can use it to summon out your Magikey Battle Buster, which is an extender and also a starter, because it searches out Magikey cards from your deck. But what is mostly interesting about this card is that it's a tuner monster, and therefore you can use that with your other level 4 normal monster to go and do all sorts of things. You can make use instant fusion to summon out Magikey Ancialabolus, I'm gonna say. You can use instant fusion with this as a tuner, which is also a recovery card from the graveyard. You could maybe play your other boss monsters if you pull them. Being a level 4 tuner, you can make level 8 synchro such as Borrowload Savage, or you can make things like Draco Berserker Teddy, which I've just deleted by mistake. You can make the new cards. You can make Wolfrayet, you can make Baronne De Fleur. You could use it to make Halki Firebacks and do those kind of combos. You could go to XE monsters like Baguska or Dagurus and then make them, use them to be overlaid into Zeus. So there's still things you can do with Magikey. Just yeah, don't expect it to be too game changing. It is okay, but it's not crazy. If you want a more detailed deck profile on this, feel free to let me know down in the comments down below. That or the Despia one. I'll be happy to do the more detailed versions of these, but I am not going to be chasing Magikey just yet, and I'm not going to be chasing Despia. I might build some of the Magikey cards, to be honest with you. Magikey is quite cheap, although I don't have all the extra deck cards, and you don't really need the high level ritual. The high level ritual is kind of bad, to be honest with you, and you don't really need the high level fusion. It's also kind of bad, to be honest with you, but you could, if you wanted to use them, you could try to. They have these weird effects where they're based on the attributes in your graveyard, and that's kind of hard to fulfill and get those going. So yeah, they're not that good in my opinion, so you can play it without them. But I might build it if I can get my hands on more of these cards, maybe like a Mecha Phantom Beast or Rorodon. I'll play it, but otherwise, yeah, I'm not going to be chasing those cards, and I definitely won't be pulling on Ruler's Mask just to get Magikey cards. So that's my kind of view on that. So that's kind of in a nutshell the value of Beyond Speed and Ruler's Mask. What are my pull plans just to end this video? What am I going to be doing? Well, I'm going to be chasing the following. I'm going to be chasing Baronne De Fleur for sure, although I only want one copy of Baronne De Fleur, and it's the only card which I feel like I really need to get from this set. So I might not pull on this set to get Baronne De Fleur. I might just craft it with some ultra rares, maybe from the new gold pass that I'm starting to grind. If I do pull on this one, it would be nice to get Wolfrayet. That would be kind of cool to have as well. I would also like Sauge De Fleur, and I would also love to try and use the Speedroid cards. I think the Speedroid spell, especially Speedroid Wheel and Speedroid Scratch, are very, very powerful. But just like in real life, legacy support cards do get very, very expensive, and I bet you there's a bunch of ultra rares that I would have to get in order to be able to build Speedroids extra deck or Clear Wings as an extra deck. So I don't think I'm going to be dedicating my points to that, but it would be nice to pull on some of these cards to play for that from Beyond Speed. And then for Ruler's Mask, again, very, very similar sentiment. The only card that I really want from here is Ready Fusion. I think I already have Sea Monster Theseus. Okay, so I want this card too because it can be good as a starter, and I really want 3 of these cards. But then outside of that, nah. Like I said, if I pull here, it'll be good to pull some other cards. I want the Dogmatika engine still, which isn't new to this set or unique, but I've always wanted Dogmatika, although Nadir Servant is at 1 in this in Master Duel, so kind of want it, kind of don't want it. But other than that, everything else would be like, if I get it, I'm happy. If not, then it is what it is. Wouldn't mind getting advanced ritual art. That'd be kind of cool. And I wouldn't mind playing Despia in the future. I just don't think it's that good yet. So that's my pool plans, and in a nutshell, my thoughts on Beyond Speed and Ruler's Mask. What do you guys think of the new sets? What are your pool plans? I would love to know what people are thinking about the new sets and the quality of the cards in here. And in addition, if there's anything I didn't really pick up on, that I didn't really highlight from here, that might be really good, that other people should be aware of, let me know down in the comments down below. I do make mistakes, and so I would love to always have someone else say, hey, maybe you didn't think of that. So feel free to let me know. But as always, guys, thank you for watching this video. I'll see you soon. Take care.